What movie things are generally accepted as normal, but are totally unrealistic in real life? Finding a parking spot in front of the building you're going into. Regaining consciousness after receiving CPR. Sexy scientists wearing little or no protective gear except a lab coat, in real life that would get your whole operation shut down for months. Oh, I have one. Hailing cabs. Always when you need it. Just wave. People opening their front door 3 seconds after an unexpected knock, like they're just constantly standing behind the door, just in case. Well, they're NPCs. They have nothing better to do. The punch sound. In my first fight, I made the punching sound to make it a more lively experience. 3/10. Got my ass kicked. They still fire more rounds than the gun holds. Showing up for a meeting over dinner or drinks, having said meeting in 1 to 2 minutes and just leaving. It bugs me so much that so many shows and movies do this. You could easily just cut the scene and the viewer could just imagine that they finished dinner together or had their drinks. But nope. People will literally order a drink, take a sip and just walk away. When in real life have you ever seen that? People having copious amounts of time to spend with their friends, not being tired after work. Deathbed scenes. People do not simply lay there looking relaxed and well-groomed, say something profound, then die. It is protracted and ugly, and usually they are not even conscious so near death. Huge lapses in time or long distances traveled, but the characters are still at the same spot in conversation. Not watching the goddamn road while driving. Everything medical. Being in a coma for weeks or months. Waking up and walking around a day or two later. Ridiculous. We treat people that were in comas even for just a few weeks and it takes them forever to recover from it. His heart stopped beating and clear. Don't get me started on that. In the rare cases when they do fake CPR, the actual CPR success rate is about 3%. Yes, 3%. That even goes for health professionals. Spinal cord injuries. A miracle. He can walk again. No. Takes months and years. Will stay severely impaired. It's more like walking with crutches very slowly and not very far for the rest of her life. Gunshot wounds. Knife wounds never cause nerve damage. Nope. They do. Again, disabilities for the rest of your life. No oxygen for more than 5 minutes. You can go for a longer time in extreme cold. Permanent and severe brain damage. Can you guess it? That's right. Severe disabilities for the rest of your life. The good guy breaks a bone, is in a cast for weeks, months. Cast comes off, leg looks like new. Nope. It literally stinks, especially in summer. Skin doesn't look healthy, and yes, massive loss of muscle mass and function. Good news. With enough training we are talking weeks and months, no disability. Women in action movies who drastically cut their own hair to change their appearance always end up with a fabulous style. Weird nobody mentioned that in movies everybody always looks at each other while driving, and they move the damn driving wheel way too much while driving straight forward. Pisses me off. People on low incomes, e.g., students, living in expensive homes. I'm not necessarily talking about mansions, more like a large apartment in a big expensive city with no roommates. Quick, turn on the news. TV is already tuned into the news channel and it's at the beginning of the broadcast that can barf up 100% of the information needed to drive the story. A bright-eyed 22-year-old moving into the Big Apple and getting a one-bedroom apartment, while hunting for their dream job, while eating at pizza places and drinking lattes. I've done it. I've finally made it to New York City. Excuse me, sir, do you know where a young prostitute can get her start in this town? Women in high heels all day long. Sometimes they run in them to tackle a bad guy or to get away from a bad guy. The next day they put their non-swollen feet back in them without complaint. Oh, women never sweat their makeup off. Their faces never have a greasy sheen in Miami in August. When people talk perfectly, without any pauses mid-sentence or making any or hum sounds. Guns making a lot of random clicking noises as soon as they point it at someone. If you are being attacked by multiple bad guys, they will each wait their turn to attack. This shit bugs the heck out of me. So many movies and shows have the trope of cutting the palm of your hand when blood is needed for some sort of ritual. It originated because it was an easy place for them to hide a blood packet back when special effects weren't what they are today. However, if you've ever had a cut on the palm of your hand, you would know that's a terrible place to make a wound because you pretty much lose the use of that hand and it can take a while to heal. There are much better places to draw blood from, yet we still see it all the time. Hell, I just saw it yesterday in the first episode of the new season of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and on top of that the characters are fine in the scenes after, or in the case of shows like Supernatural and The 100, they are making fists and fighting with no problem. This is mostly horror movies. But the notion that late-at-night hospitals are dimly lit and run by a skeleton crew of like one doctor, a few nurses, and a few other staff members on hand to tend to a few patients. Anyone who's ever spent a significant amount of time in hospitals, especially in large cities, knows that hospitals are packed with staff and patients 24/7. When someone gets knocked out, and stays unconscious until the plot requires them to wake up again. I hate cell phones in movies. Typical movie scenario. Character A has super important information. Character B has really poor reception. A calls B to relay information. Phone call keeps cutting off. B just accepts it wasn't important and keeps going. A gives up. Typical real-life scenario. A has super important information. B has really poor reception. A calls B to relay information. Phone call keeps cutting off. B texts A to ask what's so important. A texts back the super important information. Conflict is resolved. I can't tell you this over the phone. Meet me in Murder Alley after sundown tonight and my totally alive self will give you the plot critical information. Describing common knowledge in a different setting. Luke should know all about Mos Eisley. It's the biggest town near his house. I know. I've lived here literally my entire life. I was just making conversation. You don't have to be a dick, Luke. Cars often come to a literal screeching halt, even for normal parking or just pulling up to a stop, because sound designers can't help themselves. In real life, your passengers would get whiplash and ask what the hell you are doing, and bystanders would stare. Permanent free parking spots right outside the building you need to go to. Not eating the meal that is in front of you. Women orgasming after 30 seconds of sex. Winning over a girl by making over the top. Grand gestures, especially when she has already rejected you in the past. Shattering bottles easily over someone's head. Don't attempt it unless you want to possibly go to prison for murder. In action sequences in general, taking an enormous amount of injury and then getting up with a few attractively placed bruises and cuts. In particular, the trope of the bad guy who more or less needs to be thrown into a jet turbine to be destroyed, or he'll somehow get back up again. Characters who always have something witty to say and are never at a loss for words. Grenades kill by launching shrapnel but also by the concussive force it expends. There's no big explosion, it's like a puff of smoke filled with angry metal bees shooting out everywhere. Everyone is ridiculously good looking. It's sort of funny when they need to make one girl in particular super beautiful so the main guy can fall in love with her instantly. She'll be a supermodel walking into a room of supermodels. They'll throw a bunch of close-ups and glowy filters on to tell you she's supposed to be extra pretty. But the fact that everyone in the room is equally pretty makes her just look average. I am an Anglican priest. We are never found lingering alone in candle-lit churches late at night picking up service bulletins or books from pews. Yet every movie shows priests and ministers puttering around dark churches cleaning up. Sure, see you there. Time, place. When a character is misunderstood by another character and doesn't even try explain themselves after being cut off by the other person. For example, say Betty was in an awkward situation with Billy where it looked like Betty was cheating on Johnny with Billy, but it was just a big huge innocent mix-up. Johnny catches them and Betty tries to explain, but Johnny cuts her off. Says we are done, don't talk to me ever again. And that's the end of it. Betty just gives up trying to explain. Like I know damn well in real life if Betty wasn't cheating on Johnny, if it was a big confusing mix-up, that conversation would not be over. Everyone buys French bread or celery every shopping trip. Bad guys can't shoot for shit. The good guy however can take a snapshot with a pistol and bring down a helicopter 300 yards away. The women are all drop dead gorgeous. Grand, ridiculous gestures to impart a minor piece of information, like, how did you know the deceased? Follow me. It's better if I show you. Drive 3 hours into the wilderness. 6 hours hiking up a mountain. Now sitting in the darkness around a campfire. You see, she was my sister, and she really loved camping here. Turning on the TV or radio that happens to be covering the subject the characters were talking about. Unless you are talking about September 11th, that would never happen. Never discussing a meeting location, like for dinner. Unless it's a movie drama dealing with social issues, in particular poverty. Everyone has such nice flats. College dropout with part-time barista job. Why yes. The spacious loft with a view over Manhattan's skyline is just down my alley. When someone hides from bullets behind penetrable objects, like tables or a refrigerator door. Everyone is young, especially doctors, professors, specialists. They all seem to be the top of their field with years of experience, and they are all like 22. And hot. Everyone is young except high school students, who are in their 20s. How nobody in movies hurts their knuckles after punching someone. Martial artist here, and if you punch someone in the forehead like they do in the movies, you'd probably just break your own fist. Hitting someone in the forehead is basically like punching a cinder block, except the skull is actually harder. Hero always get the best seat in a busy restaurant dinner. They sometimes just stop conversations on the most random spots or hang up. Yeah, no goodbyes, like yep. Hello, you there, hello? Hot girl is ugly because she wears glasses. Everyone is either attractive or ugly until they take their glasses off and become attractive.